All right, as you can see, we've made some serious progress with our gauges and displays. We even take and rebuild our panels, and we're going to show you how. Let's get into it. Alrighty, so we've made some fun progress here and we've gotten a lot done. Pretty happy with how this is turning out, and we've stumbled into a few lucky little circumstances that really have made this a whole lot better than it could have been. Now, on the right hand side here, we've just got a LCD monitor in place, and you can see it doesn't really stay in place very well. I've got some wood in behind it, shimming it up. And, the goal was, well, we've got these dead panels. Let's just take some new LCDs and slap them into the back where that space was. Well, turns out finding a 3x4 aspect ratio monitor in a 17 inch is kind of hard, especially if you're looking for something new. And this is what we ended up finding. Just got this off of Amazon, and as we started moving forward with the project, I decided, well, just for fun, I'm going to open one of those existing panels up, because one of the things that it has as a feature that I really like is it has a full, solid, thick glass front, and that gives the gauges just a little more life and a little bit more, I don't know, depth to them. It makes it just look nicer. The other thing is they don't have a bezel. And with the bezel on our monitor that we've just placed in temporarily, it creates a big gap between that and the frame for our gauges. So I decided, well, let's just tear one of these things apart and see if it's even worth trying to work on and fix. These old panels use mercury vapor tubes for the lighting, and all the electronics are pretty archaic. But it just so happens, I decided, well, let's open up one of these new screens that we've got, and I was surprised to find it's a standard, high-end, LG-produced panel. Not only that, but it's universal. So I was able to take and pull the LCD panel out of the display, replace it with the new one, minor work with some wires, and we've got functioning new panels in our original displays and chassis. Pretty darn cool. So let's get into that. Let's talk about, just really quickly, what you got to do if you want to take and refresh one of these panels. Alrighty, so we can see our old panel and our new panel side by side, and yeah, you can really see that the old panel is built like a tank. Absolutely just bulletproof. So our panel that we're going to be stealing is coming from this little monitor. And yeah, I'm just going to kind of start stripping things down. We'll play this in a little bit of a fast mode. And as things come up that matter, I'll point them out and show them to you. Okay, so we have our back panel, all the screws removed, and that allows us to take a look inside. Now, for what we're doing, we're going to be basically gutting this. We're going to be removing all the circuit boards. We're going to be making a slight modification for a power inlet, and really just pulling the panel out entirely. Now, the outer cover just slides off, super easy. And as we don't care about salvaging any of this, we can just unceremoniously remove things as we go. Now, the one thing that is important that we hold on to is this ribbon cable right here. So we are actually going to be reusing the button panel, which is hard to see, but right here, with the new monitor's controls. Works perfectly, super easy to do. Let's go ahead and just kind of keep diving into this. There we go. Now you can see that control panel that I'm talking about. So again, we want to keep this, and we want to keep the leads intact. So just ever so carefully pop that out, set it aside, and we can just gut everything else. All right, so now that I've got the circuit board out of the way, we're going to make two minor modifications here. The first is we're going to clip out this little card holder that was in place. And the second is we need to remove this post. Easiest way I've found is just grab a pair of vice grips, give it a few wiggles, and out it comes. So with that out of the way, now all we'll need to do is drill a hole in this for a mount, but we'll come back to this panel later. So here we have our LCD in place. And the nice thing again is this LCD fits absolutely perfectly where this lives. So we're just going to go ahead and quickly remove this one. All it takes is 4 screws. And I'm going to save these screws and reuse them. And out comes the old panel. There we are. Now, I wanted to point out, we can see the panel itself actually looks like it's in pretty good shape. Originally, I thought that the panel had started debonding the glue between them, and it turns out there is a haze that's on the inside of the glass. And again, that's going to be something in there decomposing. But a little bit of rubbing alcohol on a cloth, go around and get rid of that fog. So now, let's tear into this little guy. Easiest way I found is to remove the base, grab some clippers, and just kind of go to town on the plastic until you are able to unhook one of the little catches. Now we can see how this operates. So for what we're doing, we're going to be getting rid of almost all of this. So this has a 12 volt power supply built in that goes to your standard wall socket. We're actually going to be using an onboard barrel jack and a 12 volt power supply. Give us a little cleaner power, less things we have to move into the new chassis. So for us, we're just going to remove it. Alrighty, quick battery change and we're back in it. So all we need to do now is take and pull out and save our control board here. And that's just a couple more screws. There we go. Those are our donor parts. All right, so we're gonna start this mounting process here. I'm gonna just take one last wipe with a paper towel, try and get any debris out. Excellent. And now we're gonna take and mount our LCD panel. And it's important to note we have a gap down here at the bottom. And up here we have our control board. This is the direction this mounts in. And if we're gentle, there we go. Now all we have to do is screw these in. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take and replace the back cover. And this is just temporary because we're going to need to drill a hole. So, there we go. What we're going to do is we're going to take our controller board. Now we can disconnect the button panel. In this case, we've got kind of a shorter jack than the socket allows, so we'll just have to make note of that. But for us, we're going to set that aside. We'll get a closer look at it when we do the pin out. And basically all we need to do is take this board. We're going to get rid of the glue right here. That way we have a mounting hole. We're going to take this and we're going to line it up with our VGA socket. Our HDMI fits perfectly, and we need to just make a slight little cut right here to allow that DC barrel jack the access it needs. And to hold everything together initially, we need to make sure we remove the screws here, these standoffs from the VGA jack. That way we can get proper spacing and alignment through the existing panel hole. Looks like I've got my power lead in the way. There we go. So that's what we're looking for. We're going to take and mark a hole and drill a hole and do a quick tap on it. All right, make sure everything's lined up nice. And we're marking this hole right here. And we're just drawing what we need to take and remove. There we go. Before I forget, make sure we have access to our power leads for the lighting. Those will be a pain in the butt to fish out if they get lost. Okay, so let's take a close look here at our cables and connectors. Now, I've already done the hard work for you, specific only to this specific panel and this new LCD control. But being able to take and go through and repin this on just about anything else that's out there would be really easy, as long as it has a similar connector. So we're going to be basically altering the order of our pins here. Now there's a neat little trick. You can use either a needle, or I use just some shim metal that I have, and I cut a really small piece, and it lets me pull every one of these little pins out. Go ahead and do that. Okay, so now that we've taken and pulled all the pins out, now we need to just take and put them back in the proper order. You can see here that we've got blue, black, red, brown, green, and orange. And that we have 2 empty sockets at the end and 2 right after blue, in between blue and black. If you follow this pin out, these controls will work. Alrighty, now with our panel rebuilt, all we need to do is plug it in and install it. Add some power and our HDMI port. All right. Now we have our panel plugged in. We Drop it in place. And reattach it to the mounts. There we go. And now we get to see if it works. And there we have it. Our panel's installed, and we have working gauges in our simulator. How cool is that? So as you can see, there's just not a lot to it. Pretty easy build. We're using for all of our connectivity right now to these panels, just USB 3 to HDMI converters, little inline video cards in essence. We don't need high frame rate from these, and we don't want to borrow frames from our primary video card that we're going to be using for our display. So those have worked out really, really well. And in fact, we're even using a little VGA display for our GPS that we've also been able to get working. Now, kind of the jewel in the crown of all of this is we were actually able to get this to function and work beautifully with X-Plan 11. You just go into your joystick control settings, you click into the PFC hardware, set your COM port and a few options, and boom, we have full integration of our cockpit into the simulator. Now, we still have a few problems that we're working through. Our rudders, they don't work. They don't work at all. And it's not an issue of settings in software. Even in the test software, we can't get the rudders to work. We're playing with hardware. We'll keep you guys updated on that. Most likely, we're going to just replace the potentiometers and possibly even some of the wiring, just to start removing variables. We were able to take and also track down a avionics stack. So we're now starting to take and reverse engineer that, as it worked perfectly within our simulator setup, but we'd like to use the little bit more modern and a little bit more elegant original gauges and switches and panels that came with this. We're really close to starting to put this thing all back together. I think one of our next projects that we're going to be focusing on also is motion control. So stick around for that, because that's where this thing really comes to life. And yeah, it'll be a lot of fun to play with. So there you have it. There's our update for where we're at with our simulator restoration. Oh, and a bonus, I was able to get online and find a throttle quadrant for dual engine aircraft. So this, via just two little screws on these tabs, is able to replace this throttle cluster, and we have even more diverse capability with the simulator in other aircraft. How cool is that? Not a lot of hardware out there for these machines. It's kind of hard to find, but there's enough that you can kind of make it your own. That's been a lot of fun. A lot of fun doing all the research. So again, there we have it. Big updates, lots of fun. And hey, until we see you next time, keep flying.